That's the way I see it.
That's where I see it.
That's the way I see it.
That's the way I see it.
That's the way you see it.
That's the way I see it.
That's the way I see
That's the way
it.
I see it.
That's why I see it.
Welcome to this episode of The Way I See It. I'm your host, Austin Darga. On today's episode, I'm joined by a multi-talented historian who is harnessing perceptual learning to help people living with dementia and other memory loss to return to joy, as well as bringing historical fun and motivation to folks everywhere. Hello everyone, I'm excited to be here today with Tom Gordon, aka Papa G. He is a recently retired college professor from Northwest Michigan Community College here in Traverse City. He is also the founder of Memory Bright, which is an app that creates reminiscence therapy as well as tools and characters such as photo albums to assist families who have a loved one struggling with dementia and other memory loss. And in his spare time, he also has his own YouTube channel called History with Papa G, where he makes bite-sized videos on history lessons on anything from the ancient empire to American presidents and so much more. So without further ado, let's welcome Tom Gordon to The Way I See It. Thanks for joining us. We're so glad to have you.
Well, thank you so much. It's great to be here.
All right. Well, Tom, first off, tell us exactly what is Memory Bright and how did you get it started?
Oh boy. So about 10 years ago, I read a book from Benedict Carey called How We Learn. Chapter 9 was entitled Learning Without Thinking, which was very intriguing to me. And that chapter ended up being about perceptual learning. So perceptual learning, you want to picture flashcards on steroids. Rather than a one-to-one association, you have a one-to-many. So let's say we're trying to learn about cats, right? So you have a picture of a house cat and a picture of a tiger and a picture of a lion and a picture of all these different cats in different contexts. But every time the picture cycles through, the correct answer is cat. Well, you've got 20 answers to choose from. And so what will happen is if you get it wrong, it'll give you feedback along with the correct answer. And so they've been using those things to train airline pilots and whatnot. And the science shows that after about an hour, a little less than an hour, using a perceptual learning module where you get lots of corrected feedback, you'll be operating at about 85%. And I thought, wow, I can use this to teach my history students geography, right? I can show them Croatia up close, Croatia from a satellite, Croatia in the context of other nations, et cetera, et cetera. So we built that and called it ThinkLocker. And first we went out and looked on the web to see, is there anybody else doing this? And there wasn't, so we built it. And so NMC built the world's first and still, as far as I know, the only perceptual learning module generator in the world. So we did that. And then my partners, John and Mark, we got talking about turning this perceptual learning into a business. And we did, and we called it ThinkLocker. And one day we were out having our board meeting, the three of us, over pizza, and we were talking about John's dad who had dementia, and he died of Alzheimer's. So what John was saying was, I wish I had ThinkLocker back when he was still with us. And the light kind of went off for all of us at the same time. You know what? With a few tweaks, we could build something to help dementia patients. And so it actually was a lot of tweaks, and we just released version 2 like a couple of weeks ago, and it's out there at mymemorybright.com if you want to check it out. But that's kind of the quick and dirty backstory of how Memory Bright was born.
Wow. So, we've talked many times on the podcast before about brain science, and, it once you get an idea going and you learn something from it, then if it's stimulating to you and it's stimulating to everyone around you, then that definitely can create a chain reaction to you and be like, well, gosh, okay, what other ideas can I get with this? What other suggestions can I take from this and patent something? And it sounds like you were able to hit the ground running for that, and it's really come a long way for you.
It really has, and it's been so much fun. The three of us co-founders, we really have good synergy, And I think that makes all the difference. If we didn't like each other, this wouldn't go anywhere, but we are having a ball together.
Awesome. Well, you are doing wonders when it comes to impacting many lives out there. Sometimes one person can change the world, but sometimes it also takes a team of people to create, this really great thing that could really change somebody's life for the better.
Yeah, we have high hopes that it's going to make a big impact.
Well, it sounds like it's been successful already, which, I'm very, very happy to hear. And speaking of that, is it true that Memory Bright recently won a $5,000 prize at the 20 Fathoms pitch contest? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we went to the pitch contest, 'Tis the Season, for 20 Fathoms.
And it was this month, right before Christmas.
It was, right before Christmas, and we were down there at the workshop, and it was an Audience Choice Award. We thought it was winner take all, but they actually had a $500 gift for everybody who didn't win, so that was really nice too.
Wow, really great. So, have you gotten any feedback from people on, how this program has impacted their life and their families at all?
We're still pretty new in the space.
Okay.
There's a lot of buzz and a lot of excitement, but we're a little early yet in the space to get that figured out.
Okay. Now, how long has this program been going on exactly?
Well, we've been working on it since ThinkLocker days for 10 years, probably the last 2.5 years for Memory Bright, and the first really usable version just dropped less than a month ago. So we're really fresh.
Okay. Now, are you working on, because I understand that it's more of a local thing right now, but do you think it eventually might make it to national, so it'll be out to the public and anyone out there, it could be, anyone can just download the app and it could help thousands and millions of people out there, you think?
Yeah, we're hopeful that it can. It's actually a web app, so it's not in the download store. You simply go to mymemorybright.com and you start right there. And what we're planning to do in the next year and a half is to create I think they call it a native app that goes in the App Store. But we want to really beat it up a lot on the web first and see what's working well and what doesn't work and what changes do we want to make before we make that native app, because that's a lot more complicated when it comes to making changes. You have to re-download the app on your phone, and that becomes a real pain.
Yeah, well, it's like remodeling a house per se, or creating a recipe when you're catering to a big party per se. It takes time to create a masterpiece, and you have to work through all the bugs and tweak some things before it can be perfected, so the public can look back on it and be like, wow, this was really good, or this was really helpful. So yeah, I totally understand that. Well, good luck to you on that, and I look forward to hearing more information about what you guys are doing with that, and Memory Bright as it improves in the future. I'm real excited for people out there who would, I think, greatly benefit from this.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we are too.
So, leading up to the Memory Bright, have you ever had any personal experience where you were worried about losing your memory, or you thought you would?
Oh my, yes. 2004, I developed a headache and ended up going to the ER. And long story short, had a tennis ball size abscess removed from my brain. It was right next to the speech center. That was a frightening moment for all of us. I recall being concerned that I would never be able to work again, because my brain is a lot more important to teaching and learning and the kind of work that I do than it might be for some. But that was a really tense moment.
Wow. So, we're all about overcoming challenges and encouraging people to do that here on the podcast. And, you are definitely someone that did not let that stop you. So you took from this experience, talking about history again, it's something in history where you learned from it again, and you were like, okay, what can I do to do something not only for myself, but to help other people learn from my experiences. And I can see that that's exactly what you're doing now. So,
Yeah, thanks. It's actually fun to remember the brain surgery incident now. I mean, it wasn't at the time, but looking back on that, I see just how blessed I've been and how much I've been able to continue to contribute and just be a part of this developing world.
Absolutely. Well, it's kind of an interesting thing, because my last guest that I had on, which I totally agree on, said that we're all put on this earth for a reason. God has a plan for all of us, and some of his ways might be a little awkward than others. But there's specific reasons behind that, and whether it's good or bad, you definitely learn from them. And they say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And sometimes, the negative experiences are what makes us bigger and better people, and so then we can definitely make a difference to change the world. You're listening to The Way I See It. We're talking with Tom Gordon of Memory Bright. Stick around, we'll have more with him after this. Hey there, listeners. This is Austin Darga, your host of The Way I See It. If you're enjoying the show and want to support us, why not sponsor an episode? Whether you're promoting a product, service, or brand, this podcast is the perfect place to get your message heard. If you're interested in purchasing a commercial, reach out to my producer, Micah Haven, at mhaven@grandtraversindustries.com. That's all one word, MHAVEN at grandtraversindustries.com. Or you can call Grand Travers Industries at 231-922-4885. That's 231-922-4885 and press 4 for Micah Haven. Welcome back as we continue our conversation with Tom Gordon of Memory Bright. So, moving forward here, tell us about your YouTube channel, History with Papa G. I understand that you're a big history buff and you like to share that with people. So, talk to us about that and why you started that.
Yeah, sure. So, I retired from NMC just a year ago, May, and I was the full-time historian for the last well, for 27 years I was there, and I think I was by myself as a full-timer for 10 or 15. And I had gone on sabbatical, some years ago, and filmed all around the States. We went on an 18,000-mile odyssey, appropriately in our Honda Odyssey, the whole family. And we stopped at historical sites, and we filmed, and we just had a blast, mostly. Got back, created a couple of, I call them living textbooks for my students, and they had what I coined webumentaries from these different battlefields and historical sites and whatnot. And so my students used those for years. Well, I kept filming when I would travel somewhere. I would make these little 2-minute webumentaries because I found something interesting, and I would just kind of hold my phone up and film myself. And I just have done it, and I've created so many hours of content. When I retired, Kyle Morrison, he's at NMC there, he said, you have a lot of content. You ought to think about doing a social media channel. So I asked him, how's that done? And then I actually am in partnership with Micah Haven's brother, Simeon, and he and I are running this history channel together. So I just film this stuff. I send it to Simeon, and he dresses it up pretty and puts it out on the web.
Wow, how fascinating. So you were able to take your career and make it into an online sensation where not only are you teaching local students, but you're also giving an interest to people online where they can go check out your history videos and just learn some fun tidbits to give them a little entertainment, I guess, for the day, and learning more about culture and American history in general, which I think is really fantastic. So with that being said, what would you say to open more minds about the importance and excitement about learning history?
Yeah, so you've heard that saying, those who don't know their history are doomed to repeat it. Yeah, okay. Sayings have their place. I think it is important to have a sense of where you've been. If you woke up with amnesia one morning, you essentially would have no personal history. And if we really lose contact with the truth of our past, that's going to be like a cultural amnesia. And I think we're always kind of fighting that battle.
Sure.
Yeah, and one of the things about history, you can think of just the foulest person you can possibly come up with historically, and I could name some names, but I won't. But just imagine that at some point, that person did something that was probably right. Something, right?
Right.
And the problem is we get so polarized with our binary hatreds that because some person we consider foul has done a thing or touched a thing, it is suddenly besmirched now in our minds when it may very well have been the right thing. And so that's really difficult. And one of the things that inspired the History Channel here was that people are really up in arms about politics right now. And I thought, our politics have always been a little bit unhinged. And if I can go through, and I'll do a series, say, on the presidents, because there's a lot of unhingedness in our presidents. If I can do something with that, then people can get a sense, okay, well, maybe I don't have to be quite so upset as I have been, because I could see that, wow, Andrew Jackson was this way and John Adams was that way. And so that was one of the drivers behind this. I really wanted to have a place where people could come and say, oh, okay, it's always been a little bit nuts. Maybe we'll survive this.
Wow, you're right. People are so, focused on, when it comes to presidents and politicians, they're more focused on the politics on that than anything else. But then if you're willing to take the time to look back and listen and learn some fun facts and just take a few minutes to take a break and take the politics out of it, you'll really actually be able to learn a lot more information about what some of our early presidents have done, and some of our current presidents too. I've talked many times before about my business trip to Washington, D.C. last year and how awesome and historical that was. I'm really moved by Martin Luther King. I've mentioned that on the podcast many times. And even though he wasn't a president, he's still a legend in our history. But president or not, it's almost like meditation in a way, because you're taking your mind away from all the craziness that's in the news, because it seems like every time when you watch the news on TV, there's always someone yelling and complaining about this politician is doing all this wrong, and why didn't we get the other one in, and shootings and stabbings that are taking place at local stores and in schools. It's like a never-ending cycle. It's almost like you're hearing the same thing over and over again, and then it's all about these crazy things that Hollywood celebrities are doing. But we definitely need a perfect balance in our life, and one of those things, talking about the brain and memory science. I've had conversations with a couple different guests before about different parts of your brain that makes you react to, that send a signal to make you react to certain things, like the prefrontal cortex and oxytocin. Oxytocin is stuff that's released in your brain that makes you react to something, whether it's like real exciting or could be something totally opposite too. But it releases a signal in your brain that is direct to you, and being like, oh wow. So going back to talking about people, dealing with the past and maybe dealing with certain things where they might not be able to remember something for a second. And I've heard a couple of people in media say different things. There's a courtroom judge on TV that always says, it's not about where you've been, it's about where you're going. And that may be somewhat true to an extent, but you also have to look back on certain things and learn from it, which actually takes me to a great quote that the legendary radio DJ John Garabedian used to say, which is, learn from yesterday, live for today, dream for tomorrow, but most importantly, be your dream, which has inspired me by on my podcast, along with my favorite music artists that I've bought it before. My conclusion that I always say at the end, because if you don't have something of your own that you truly hold in your heart, then what do you have in this world? I mean, it's not really gonna give you a lot of stimulation and interaction. And so, I think that's a great piece for people just to take the time to think about. Yeah. And so you do a really great job, and you're very intelligent in connecting world history with memory history. And just because you're retired, they say never let go of what you're passionate about. And so I really commend you for taking the time, even after your career, to still be able to share with people what it is you are passionate about, because I can definitely tell that you have a big connection with that, and keep up the good work on being able to do that in the future. So with that being said, why is it so important to you to share history with people, whether it's memories or world history?
Everything has a history, right?
Yeah.
And I think that cannot be overemphasized. I have a history, you have a history, we collectively have a history, and we need to stay connected to those. So Memory Bright does that at a very, very personal level. My YouTube channel is just something that I'm doing to, as you said, take the politics out and just simply let the facts speak for themselves, and to help folks to maybe ratchet down a notch or two in terms of how they're feeling about history.
So I truly believe that any history, whether it's your own history or, history just in general, you learn from it, and it can teach you a lot of things. And if you're dealing with your own personal history, you can look back on it and be like, okay, on like what happened, and look into the future and be like, okay, well, this really taught me a lot. So what can I do to improve myself? Or you could be like, wow, I really learned a lot from this, and now I'm gonna take this and use this to help other people, and maybe improve my job abilities at work. Who knows? I mean, it can go so many different ways.
Yeah, Memory Bright, one of the things we're really keen on is helping people return to joy. In that YouTube channel for history, that's also a way of returning to joy, maybe in a different way. Reconnecting with the past helps me to put the present into perspective and maybe dial down the panic. So that's not exactly a return to joy, but it is a backing away from the panic. So they're both kind of similar in that regard.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I can totally see that, when we have more people that are willing to learn from history, get a little bit of a different perspective, I think it can truly better all of our lives. And you never know what kind of road you might be able to go down, if you take it with a grain of salt, as they so say. And I feel that history is one of the most important parts of our lives, as I'm sure you do. I think that's one of the great lessons that I think people can and should take from this today.
Yeah, agreed.
Absolutely. So before we wrap up here, I mean, if there's anything that you truly wish that people would take out of our conversation today, what would that be?
There's joy to be had out there, and you can find it by exploring your past in healthy ways, both at a personal level and at a national and global level. Go find that joy.
Do you think that would help out, like, for your mental health? Do you think it would also be like a great, like, meditation tool, so to speak?
I don't see either of my endeavors as meditation tools, but meditation tools are definitely a good place to be looking as you return to joy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then on top of that, like, taking what you've learned from history, just being able to improve yourself to have a better life. Absolutely. I totally agree with you on that. Well, Tom, I once again want to commend you on all of the great work you're doing. I think that you're really going to be helping out a lot of people with Memory Bright and with your YouTube videos on history. I highly recommend that you guys check out his YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and search History with Papa G, and I think you'll have a lot of fun with it. I mean, I checked out some of your videos yesterday, and I was truly moved and intrigued on just all of the knowledge that you have on fun facts about anything, whether it's Christmas, presidents, and even like food related. You just gotta take the time to just have an open mind. So just come on and join the learning curve, and I think it will truly help you get through the day. It was really great to have you, Tom. As I mentioned, keep doing what you're doing, and I'm excited to see what the future brings for Memory Bright. We'll definitely keep in touch for sure. I'd like to, because I think many people could get something out of this.
Well, thanks for having me on, Austin.
Absolutely. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our 2025 season edition of The Way I See It. I want to thank everybody for all of your tremendous support, as always. All of my followers on social media, my producer Micah Haven, and all of my great guests that I've had this year. It's another successful year indeed. And I also want to give a personal shout out and very happy birthday to my good friends at Strong Tower Radio, as they just recently celebrated their Sweet 16 right before Christmas. Now 25 stations strong across Michigan and Illinois. If you're someone within the sound of my voice right now, anywhere from Kalamazoo to Petoskey, Lansing to Alpena, Cadillac to Houghton, Grand Rapids to Ironwood and Iron Mountain. If you're someone who truly feels passionate about spreading the word of faith, I highly recommend that you check out this great radio station / ministry. They're doing just amazing work. So to everyone there, Mr. President David, Tom Azure, Jelaine Fenner, Holly Richardson, Del Reynolds, and George Corliss. A very, very happy birthday to you guys. Keep on doing all the great work that you're doing, and I definitely see a brighter future for you in 2026. And so I'm very happy and excited for you guys. And with that, to everybody else, have a great rest of your holiday season. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we look forward to seeing you next year in 2026 right here on The Way I See It, an exclusive production of GTI Media. Thank you for listening to The Way I See It. This podcast is brought to you by Grand Traverse Industries, a Northern Michigan nonprofit whose mission is to fiercely advocate, strengthen, and advance the dignity and opportunity of people with disabilities. Our theme is composed by Nick Vane, and our producer is Micah Haven. We hope you'll join us for our next episode, but in the meantime, this is Austin Darga reminding you that life is a journey. No matter where it takes you, always go where your heart leads you.